Okay. Okay. So as mentioned, we are in the 4G. We are now reached the 4G. We are still in the 4G thing, and we need to transition to 5G. It may take a little time because the existing handsets and chipsets have to completely migrate. And today we are getting not bad. We are getting over 100 Mbps. Some of the people are advertising 5G. That means they are in 4.5G. They have moved in terms of speed and performance, but still, actually speaking, 5G is not yet commercially rolled out. That is a fact. So I already told you this. I've already told you all these things. So this is how the graph looks, the chart looks like in terms of the transition from 1G to 5G. This is the development time. Okay, this is the development from 2014-15. We are working a lot on 5G test beds, but we are yet to reach the commercial deployment. We are expecting that, you know, by my gut feeling is by beginning of 2022, we will see some commercial rollout of 5G in India. In fact, Reliance has also the Jio, their AGM, annual general body meeting. Mukesh Ambani also mentioned that 5G we will roll it out by the end of the year. But there are some licensing issues, and all the government norms have to be, policy has to be completely evolved and so on. Because even though government policy takes time, anyway, we are expecting this next year. So this chart shows you the how the kind of transition from 1G to 5G, starting from 1970 to today, what we are today. Yeah, another very important thing that I wanted to convey is that, you know, today we will have to see that, while we are transitioning from our 4G handsets and chipsets to 5G mobile phones, handsets and chipsets, one more thing we will have to do. We will have to also migrate our networks from IPv4, Internet Protocol v4, to Internet Protocol v6. Today, as we speak, we are still in a transition stage. I think a lot of networks have moved on to v6 because we are getting mobile IP and all, but still there is still a lot of legacy IPv4, Internet Protocol v4 networks, which need to be addressed. And when we need to address this, this will take some, this is happening as we speak. So when we transition to a 5G mobile phone, a 5G network, it will necessitate that we need the data connectivity to move to an IPv6 network. So this is a second constraint that we have to face when we move on to 5G. One is the chipset and the handset. You need to have different handsets. Second thing is the communication network has to be running on IPv6. We are today in a transition period. So this will become a universal standard. You will be able to do software, SDR, software defined radio, many value added services like software defined radio will be there. One unified standard will be there. Interoperability will be there. Anywhere in the world you can use. You can have high bandwidth, high speed, low error, high throughput, high quality of service, and all the wearable devices. This is what I was trying to tell you, that the industry 4.0, whether it is the smart health or the smart education or the smart retail or the smart factory, wearable devices will be enabled as a result of this 5G. Now, coming to the protocol stack of the 5G, there is, generally speaking, most of these telecom players have agreed upon this standard. And nicely speaking, this, while I was talking about IoT, I was trying to map physical layer to the concern, but here it is nicely done in the sense that we know that which layer is used instead of the other. So here in 5G, we are going to have the data link layer and the physical layer as part of an open wireless architecture. Open wireless means there is a lot of freedom for individual chipset makers and handset makers to have some tweaking and some changes, but by and large the standard will capture most of these. Then the network layer in the ISO, OSI and TCP/IP model will be broken down into two. Here the session and the transport layer are combined into the OTP or the Open Transport Protocol, and here there is an application layer. Application layer is combined with the presentation layer. So the protocol stack, so as to speak, is slightly modified. You have this kind of architecture. Now, let us see each of them. So the OWA or the Open Wireless Architecture is the physical and the data link layer together. And here this will have a lot of freedom with respect to some amount of freedom with respect to the individual chipset and handset makers to make some their technology and so on. There is some freedom, at the same time there are some standards. So for everything there will be some commonality and some difference. That's the meaning of this OWA. Meaning, if I am a new chipset maker, it will be very easy for me to change my manufacturing, my molding, my mold and my items to suit this OWA layer. Now the network layer. Here the network layer is broken into two. There is a lower layer, network layer for the interface, and an upper network layer for the mobile terminal. And all these networks will have mobile IPv6. IPv6 also will be used. And even now we are able to do this, but a mobile can act like a router or a access point, or a mobile will be able to do that. Even now we are able to tether and do that, but still here it's like, you are actually carrying an access point rather than a mobile phone. The access point can be used by many people in a very seamless fashion. That is the kind of thing. Today, if I want to pair with your mobile phone for devices, I have to use Bluetooth, I have to tether. It takes time. Now, with this, it will be much easier to have all kind of high bandwidth services. Then, of course, the OTP layer, the transport and the session layer are combined here. In TCP versions, the assumption is that the lost segments are due to network congestion. Here, there will be very little network congestion. That question doesn't arise. So it will be very easy for anybody to, have a transport layer. You can just install it and set that kind of dialogue. I'm sure you have heard about the three-way handshake. How complicated it is to make a network connection. You say, "Hi, I'm there." Then you have to reply. All these things are of the past. It will be very easy, seamless, interoperable to go. And this protocol is very, by and large, very open in the sense that it will be easy for anybody and everybody to use this. And finally, the application layer, which is combined with the session layer, the presentation layer. Here we will have high quality of service, high throughput, high quality for everything, and the QoS parameters such as the delay, losses, bandwidth, reliability will be stored in the database, in the sense that we will have an analytics module available to see how this data transmission is happening. And we have a choice of many services. There will be some intelligent analytics also for selecting the service. That kind of thing will come. So all this is the protocol stack. And the underlying principle is that there is a lot of commonality, but there is also some difference that each chipset and handset maker can do to their equipment, to their infrastructure and so on. So that advantage comes through the 5G network. Yeah, coming to the hardware and the software for the 5G. The 5G hardware, we will be using ultra wideband networks with higher bandwidth at low energy levels. We will be having bandwidth that is something like 1 to 100 Gbps. I think the minimum speed is likely to be 10 Gbps. And this may go on till 100 Gbps. It will be 400 to 500 times faster than what we have today. We will have smart antennas, some analytics modules. We'll be using code division multiplexing. In terms of the software for the handset and the chipset, we will be having a single unified standard, whether it is Ethernet, whether it is Wi-Fi, WiMAX, all this will be Bluetooth, Zigbee, all these will be seamlessly connected. We will be able to have higher value added services like software defined radio, SDR. We will be able to have adequate security safeguards and so on. So this is what some of the equipment will look like and so on. So, we'll be able to have analytics. We will be able to see the dashboard. We will be able to see how our network is behaving. We will be able to see the network operations very seamlessly and easily. So all this I have already told you all about this. In fact, I'm coming to the end of the presentation. I've already explained all these things. Yeah, VPN, it will be very easy for you to have enable virtual private networks also. VPN, as you know, is using the internet like a private network for between your intranet and the extranet. Intranet is within your organization. Extranet is the network or the inside your partners and suppliers. So if you are a factory, you having an intranet, your supplier will have it's an extranet, but the VPN, the virtual private network, will make that extranet the network intranet of your supplier or your partner, just like it is your own network, and you can connect to all the branches using the internet, but in a very secured fashion, so that there is security and integrity of the transactions and so on. Now, I already told you all these things. Yeah, I told you this, anything smart, smart using AI, pervasive networks, ubiquitous networks, value added services, like SDR, software defined radio, sixth sense technology, voice over IP devices, all this we will be possible. I've already told you all these things. Yeah, this is like the, how, this is like a, I have one more topic on the test bed, but this is how the promise of 5G will be there. 10,000 times more traffic, 100 times more devices, less than 1 millisecond latency or delay, 10 years more of battery life, low cost, high energy, more than 10 Gbps. Minimum is going to be 10 Gbps, and it may go up to, peak data may go up to 100 Gbps also. This is the promise of the 5G revolution, and how it is going to enable industry 4.0 and how it is going to drive the engine, the data communication engine for the smart factory, the smart education and so on. So I'll close with some use cases and test beds. So today, as I mentioned, we are away from commercial deployment. I believe 1 or 2 European cities, I think it is Hanover or Frankfurt. in Germany has started on a limited basis commercial 5G deployments. In India, we are yet to get into that commercial rollout of 5G services. It is yet to happen. It may take some time. We expect that, I'm sure that, by early 2022, we will be able to probably have some commercial, on a limited scale, commercial deployments of the 5G services where people can subscribe. Obviously, you need to buy a new mobile phone. You need to buy a 5G handset with the 5G chipset. That is very necessary. And maybe around 2025, we maybe be able to see all the middle class people having a 5G phone. Maybe it may be 2027 or 2028 when we completely embrace 5G. That may not happen till that, because the transition is going to be there. And today, where we stand, see, in terms of policy, see, unfortunately, Government of India policies take time. See, we may complain a lot about our the democracy and all, but we have to understand that everything takes time. So why I'm saying is, I am very actively involved in the science and technology and innovation policy of India. I'm on one of the committees. I'm an ambassador for the policy, science technology policy. I know that, from last February, maybe March, April, as soon as the pandemic struck, we were supposed to have so many meetings. All that became online. From April, we are discussing. We have been discussing about the policy. We have had multiple, stakeholder engagements. Whenever a Government of India comes with a policy, the policy has to be discussed with all stakeholders. It should be documented, collated, and then it has to go to the cabinet. Then it has to be discussed so many times. Then only it goes to the cabinet. Cabinet may send it back. And then when it comes back from the cabinet, again, we may have another level of stakeholder discussions. Then it goes back to the cabinet. Cabinet approves. Then only it goes to the parliament. Some cases, the parliamentary nod is needed. Some cases, parliamentary nod is not needed. It depends upon the situation. But what I'm saying is, from last year, we are working on it. The draft only came out last year, end of December, first draft. A lot of people are now giving this thing. So it takes time. What I'm saying is, in a democracy, it takes time. Policy making takes time. That is why there is definitely an undue delay. Now, we can argue that, we could have made this policy 3 years back, but the stakeholders have to be involved. The stakeholders means users like you and me. What is that? People who make mobile phones, manufacturers of mobile phones, people who provide mobile phone services, who are service providers, the data, voice, telephony service provider, internet service provider. All these people have to come to commonality. All these people have to be connected. So that's why it takes time. And that is why my gut feeling is maybe it will be, even though Reliance is telling 2021, it may be only well in 2022, unless Reliance is able to, modify and accelerate the policy, which I don't know. But we are able to see. But some countries in Frankfurt, we have some commercial deployment has happened in a limited fashion. The others are also doing. So I will close my thing with some of the test beds that are happening. There are many test beds for 5G. Even in India, there are test beds. A lot of work is happening in the test bed. One of the UK test bed which is promoted by the government, is the 5GTT, 5G test bed and trial test bed, which is using, which is a massive, almost $1 billion, 740 million pounds budget, where all the government is involved, many universities are involved, the companies are involved, and this is looking at several use cases, how to roll out commercial deployment of 5G, especially in commercial deployment of 5G, especially in many of the, especially in these kind of use cases where we can use it. Another private thing is 5G UK, which is promoted by the University of Surrey, along with Bristol University, King's College. It's a small test bed. They are looking at rural agriculture-based smart agriculture, smart tourism, smart air, urban connected, smart urban community. These are some of the things that this 5G UK, it's a private test bed. And they have brought a lot of government and industry and trade players also into this test bed. That is Cambridge Wireless, KT and TM Forum, Real Wireless are some of the private players that have got into this network. Of course, now coming to India, India, the nodal agency is the Department of Telecommunication under the Ministry of Communications and IT, Information Technology. There is a massive 5G project. Many Indian universities, IISc Bangalore, IIT Madras, CVIT, IIT Delhi, Kanpur, Hyderabad, Samir. Samir is an autonomous society under the Ministry of Electronics, the Department of Electronics. All these are working on a prototype, and they are well. A lot of development is there. It's doing pretty well. This test bed will have 5G, BS, and UE nodes that support enhanced mobile broadband, ultra low latency communication, and massive MTC, including services. And the frequency they are working is sub 6 gigahertz and wave frequencies. Government has given a massive budget, 220 crores. Some of the private professional bodies are also involved. I am involved in IETE, Institution of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers. I believe that IETE is also working with the GISFI forum towards this 5G test bed. They are working along with this group or this consortium, so as to speak. But as mentioned, this may take time. Maybe 2022 we can expect some commercial rollout. This is another US-based thing, EduRoam. EduRoam, many US universities are involved in this. Comes to the end of the presentation. These are probably the QoS, or the quality of service parameters that one would use for 5G. They're probably some are similar, some are different from the present QoS or quality of service providers, but this is likely to be some of the QoS parameters, peak data rate, spectral efficiency, latency, reliability, mobility. But I'm not going into this detail because these are a work in progress. But these are probably the ones that are going to be the QoS, or the quality of service providers. I come to the end of the presentation. As mentioned, 5G race is on. We are today moving from test beds to commercial deployment. Field trials will going on from 2018, and we will see a huge change. We are going to see high bandwidth, high speed, low latency, highest quality of service, less power. We are going to see where all this 5G services will be the engine, will be the data communication engine that drives the IoT revolution, the industry 4.0, moving us towards smart education, smart healthcare, smart factories, and so on. Thank you very much. I will close my session now. I think I finished a little ahead of schedule. I'll be happy to answer any queries if you have.
Sir, thank you so much for that wonderful eye-opening session, sir, both in the morning and in the afternoon. Thank you for being a part of us, sir. Participants, any queries you have? Participants? Professors?
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm Vignesh Kumar. I'm from Coimbatore.
Yeah.
Sir, one thing is you're saying 5G technology in test bed, no, sir?
Yeah.
Why not we deploy this 5G technology test bed in India, sir? You told it will be coming in 2028, 2027, 2028 now, sir. Is there any company or any commercial test bed in India, sir?
Commercial testbed is there. We do not know what exactly Reliance is up to, but
Okay,
all
okay.
these companies that are going to manufacture, what I'm saying is all the major companies like Airtel or Vodafone and Reliance Geo, they will all be having commercial testbeds because they are even now figuring out various technologies, various services, and also they would all be having this, but they will not, because for competitive reasons, they will not be sharing that with anybody. But the government of India's 5G testbed, no, that which I showed you, that they are involving a lot of civil society also, because as I mentioned, it is run by the Department of Electronics. I think researchers are given some input. Researchers can give their opinions, can contribute through some professional bodies like the GISFI, GISFI. You can Google and find out. I believe as an
Okay.
ordinary person, you can become a member of GISFI. IET has some connection with GISFI. I believe even IEEE has got some connection to the Bangalore section. So those are the ways that you can contribute. Otherwise, these commercial test beds, they will not let, obviously they will not. It is a trade secret. They will not let anybody involved in that. It's all secretive. Like I mentioned, 2021 only, 22 only I am expecting. But then Reliance, that fellow, what's his name? Mukesh Ambani, last year in November or something, during that AGM of Reliance, he has promised that in 2021 he's going to give 5G. It may be true also. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So another thing, they have been saying 4.5G now, sir.
Yeah.
What is meant by 4.5G, sir?
See, 4.5G means in the existing 4G phones and all, they have given some more value-added services. That is all. It is not the
Okay.
5G thing, but they claim it is 5G, but it's not. So, see, for marketing purposes, they'll say, I'll give you a 5G phone before anybody has made the 5G phone. What I'm trying to say is that those marketing, even in the US, you get this. Even now I remember, you go to a mall somewhere in Bay Area, they'll say 5G phone available. Chumma, it's not true. It's just a 4.5G means in the existing 4G phone and the network, they have done some value-added services and they are marketing it as 5G. It is actually somewhere between 4G and 5G, 4.5G.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Professors, any other question? Sir is such a high-profile profession. High-profile profession. He is from Amrita Vishwavidyapitham. Please make use of him. He is very friendly. He will share his profile shortly and also his email address. Can make.
Yeah, I'm doing that just now.
Okay, I know that, sir.
This is my email ID. I can give you my mobile number also, but I may not take the phone immediately. I'll call back in the evening if I'm very busy. This is my mobile number also. You can also follow me on Facebook. It's very easy. Just search for my name, Prashant R. Nair. You can follow me on Facebook also. And there is also I have a YouTube channel, but the Facebook is around for almost 10 years and there are many followers. But YouTube is a recent link only. I think just started last week only, 2 weeks back only, I opened that Facebook channel, YouTube channel. But you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and my Facebook page also.
Yeah, I was knowing Prashant sir for past 15 years. He is like what I was seeing him before 15 years. Sir. So
yeah, you graduate. You're an alumni. We are very proud to have you as an alumni.
Thank you, sir. Participants, any other queries? Sir is almost member of all the societies that exist in India and also in all over the world. So he is a member of all the societies. So wherever you find a society, there will be Prashant sir in it. So please make use of dear Prashant sir in the near future for your colleges also. Any other queries, professors? Sir, can we wind it up, sir?
Yeah, we can wind up. I have already sent the slides to you, sir, so you can share it. Thank you very much to all the participants. Wish you nice, good learnings from the next days of the program, the forthcoming days. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much for joining, sir. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Participants, I will be sharing the feedback in the Zoom window now. I've shared the link, professors. I think. Professors, please do join for the next session, which starts by 9:55 a.m. tomorrow. Tomorrow's session will be handled by Mr. Sendil Mani from SAM Robotics. His topic is IoT in industrial areas. Please join sharply by 9:55 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you, professors. I'll end the session now.